2 days ago, my friend, I guess you could say like my only friend, at this moment in time, in this void of absence of time I've kind of been thrust into. Anyway, he called me and said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." I was sitting over at Drew's mom's house, and he's like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Well, she's gonna take me home." And he's like, "Well, why don't you have her bring you over here instead of bringing you home?" He's like, "I'm by Rich's," and I heard Rich say in the background, "And bring me $1,000." And I'm like, "Okay, why?" And he's like, "Well, I have to go to the hospital, and I need someone to drive me there and back." And I'm thinking, okay, this is no problem for me, but I'm thinking, this shows how bad of friends I've had lately. But it's like, is he setting me up for something? I couldn't understand why he wanted me to go drive him to the hospital when he's a much better driver than I, and he's got the vehicle, not me. But anyway, I was happy to help for whatever, and went down there to drive him, and it turned into a huge 2-day fiasco. First, I took him to the urgent care by my house. They diagnosed him, said he had to have surgery, called an ambulance, and sent him over to St. Mary's. Had a room booked and everything. As soon as he got there, they made him get up out of the ambulance and sit in the waiting room. Said they didn't know the room, they didn't have any of his information, and he sat there for the next 8.5 hours until he physically could not sit anymore. His hernia was like out to here, and he escaped and called me to go pick him up. This is like midnight, and I'm driving his big pickup truck, and my LASIK has worn off. Can't see, not used to driving a pickup truck. But I go and pick him up, and then we go back to his crib for a while I call hospitals and so on and so forth. And then finally at 4 a.m. I call an ambulance and send him to Banner, which is what we should have did in the first place. But we were misled by Rich's glamorous story about a quick and easy hospital trip. But then, so I got him into the hospital around 5:30 this morning, and got home around 6:45, and sat here until 11:45, and then he called me and was getting out. So I drove all the way from here, all the way down to Campbell, and picked him up. And when I started driving this the other day, I was driving really cautiously and slow and scared. And when I picked him up today, he's like, "Man, you're driving like me." So I guess I get used to it. But that was a lot of driving.